Good morning, everyone. This is Christy Olson, the Executive Director of EMA, ERA, and ISSA, the three associations that make up PPRA, the Pavement Preservation and Recycling Alliance. We're thrilled to have you here today. We have about 320 people pre-registered for the conference, and we understand several of you may be hosting larger groups at your offices, so welcome to you all. Just a few words of housekeeping. We do have you all on mute because of the size of the audience. But we are looking forward to your comments and questions during the program. If you do have a comment or question for our speakers, please use the chat function at the bottom left corner of your screen, and all questions will be answered by the speakers. With that, I'd like to introduce our presenters for this morning. From Verio Consulting, Verio has been working with EMA, ERA, and ISSA for about the last 3 years and have been a key part of the research, testing, and development of the series of tools for the asphalt and road maintenance industries, roadresource.org, that you are previewing now. They are joining us today to share the tools that have been designed to accomplish the assistance to the industry and how to make the most of them. With that, I'd like to introduce Lindsay Matush, CEO of Verio Consulting, and Grace Stansberry, the project lead for roadresource.org.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Christy. Grace and I are thrilled to be with you this morning after 3 years of R&D on roadresource.org. We are excited to be able to share this resource with the users that it was designed for. So Grace, you won't be hearing very much from Grace. She's our Vanna White this morning, but I'll let her say hello.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be clicking around, so my cursor work will be how you get to know me.
So we thought this morning that we would share a little bit about the background of Road Resource and how it came to be. We will walk you through the tools and features in the site, and then share with you some additional resources and places that you can go to learn more. I think what you'll find this morning is that this resource is a very powerful tool with a lot to it, and so we've built some resources to help you learn your way around. So we know that America has a failing infrastructure problem, and I know that I'm speaking to the choir when I say that. And the agencies have less resources than they need to care for deteriorating networks. And so the associations who built this tool said, okay, if we believe that preservation and recycling can be solutions that help agencies reverse deteriorating network trends and actually gain ground, what does it look like to expand the successful use of those preservation and recycling treatments? What does our user need to do that? And how can we learn from those who are doing it well? So we launched a sizable research project and talked to road owners and agencies of different sizes in different climates, at different levels of decision making, from Department of Public Works directors to state materials engineers to inspectors. Talked to contractors, suppliers, and said, okay, who's doing it well, and what can we learn from them, and how can we make their work and their learnings more accessible to other users around North America? So we organized basically 4 traits of what we saw repeatedly in successful road managers and agencies. And here's what we saw. Number 1, they use a really robust toolbox of different treatments that they apply with success. Number 2, they apply network level thinking and concepts to their annual treatment plans. And that network level thinking allows them to plan predictively, to justify pavement condition as well as funding. And it allows them to predict the impact of their treatment plan today and next year on their network over time. They are also able to draw from the success and innovation of others in similar regions and climates, And in many cases, they're in touch with what's happening at the industry at large. So these three associations are really the visionaries behind Roadresource. Asphalt Emulsion Manufacturers Association brought together the International Slurry and Surfacing Association along with the Asphalt Recycling and Reclaiming Association to say, okay, how can we form something collectively that makes it easier on our end user to understand when and where and how to use us and to use our treatments with great success. So they formed the Pavement Preservation and Recycling Alliance, who built Roadresource.org with the goal of helping end users have better roads today that over time link up to stronger networks tomorrow. We had several key objectives in building this site. Number one, to expand the understanding of different asphalt treatments and solutions, ultimately knowing when to use what, and expanding any user's understanding of the really diverse set of treatments available to them, and to know how to combine them and use them for great success. Number two, to teach network level thinking. We heard so many agencies interested in learning more about it and wanting to know where to start and how to take the same amount of money and spend it differently to make network level gains. Number three, to equip with technical information and best practices to ensure that every user has everything they need to be successful in applying these treatments and to increase confidence and understanding that will ensure great success. And lastly, to provide a consistent format by which any agency can access technical information in one easy to understand resource. We heard from agencies in our research that there's so much good information out there, but it can be overwhelming to access it in such a diversity of inconsistent formats in varying places. So PPRA set out to say, what would it look like to pull as much of that information as possible into one easy to use place and connect that information through decision-making tools that will make it easier for any user to understand how to use these various treatments with great success. So we are emerging from 3 years of research and collaboration. We explored everything we could find about what the industry was already putting out. We did surveys with EMA, ERA, and ISSA members all across North America. We did interviews and received input from well over 45 agencies and industry leaders. We did beta testing and ran concepts through agency test groups to figure out how to tweak our ideas and turn ideas into actual tools that would be useful. And then we put every single thing on the site through multiple rounds of technical review in technical committees. And the result of that is what you see as roadresource.org with over 500 pages of tools and technical information to make it easier for you to see network level gains and apply treatments with success. So what we'd like to do today is walk you through roadresource.org and help you see at a glance what's in this site. So I'm going to walk you through the kind of high-level chunks of information, and then we'll take you through several sort of use cases of how you can interact with the material on the site. So this is the homepage at roadresource.org. It's what you'll find when you first log on. And as you scroll down the homepage, you'll see right up top, we have a section where we organize industry updates and upcoming events. We wanted one place where you could get on and find out what's happening industry-wide if you want to learn more about who's doing great work in recycling, preservation, or network management. And then as you scroll throughout the rest of the homepage, you will see success stories, innovation stories, links to different tools throughout the site, and ultimately an opportunity to sign up for the e-newsletter. If you've not already done this, we suggest that you do so. We send an e-newsletter out about once a month, and we place a heavy emphasis on curating very high value information. It's organized in one very lovely looking e-newsletter that has high level summaries of information where you click through only what's interesting to you and can learn about the latest research, best practices, tools on the site. So if you've not already done it, we suggest you go here and sign up. And then as you think about the other tools available to you in this site, I'm going to walk you through kind of the major chunks of information. On the left-hand side, there's a little bit about us, where you can read about who PPRA is and learn about the data methodology behind the site. Then there's a treatment toolbox section. We'll dig into this in a little bit, but this is where you go to explore what treatment is best for my road. And the Treatment Resource Center, which is this sort of massive database of technical information and opportunities to find a contractor or supplier if you want to talk directly to the people who are applying these treatments and are experts on that particular treatment. The next chunk of the site is this network optimization section. We will be walking you through most of these tools in a little bit, but if you look on the left there, you'll see that there's kind of a how-to guide. We're not going to cover that today for the sake of time, but this gives you a high-level overview of how to begin thinking about optimizing your network. And then there's 4 different calculator tools that each have kind of a teaching or about section to explore that concept, and then a calculator or a tool that allows you to make that concept relevant to your network. Then there's 3 main sections that were organized by each of the associations that supported roadresource.org under pavement preservation. There's always a section on why that helps you really understand the benefits and the concepts, additional calculator tools that will take you through. And then if you are accustomed to the really valuable technical papers and information that ISSA produces, you'll see their publications and a link to learn more there. Then recycling has a very similar section where you can explore why, the main benefits of recycling and reclamation, an opportunity to learn about structural comparisons. We'll take you there later. And again, ERA's publications and resources. And then lastly, emulsions. So this is resources from EMA, the Asphalt Emulsion Manufacturers Association. And this I really encourage you to explore on your own time. There's a lot about emulsions. We heard in our research that there's a lot of questions around what is an asphalt emulsion, how is it made, why does it break like it does, what performance does it offer me? And so About Emulsions really unpacks that. And then emulsion classification and naming, where you can really learn a little bit about the letters and the numbers and the performance and engineering advantages that are inherent in each letter and number that make up a CHFRS 2P. Then there's an Emulsion Resource Center, where that is a fairly comprehensive technical database with everything you need to know about testing, inspection, and emulsions as a whole, and then a little bit more about bond coat and EMA's resources. And then actually lastly here under resources, if you don't know where to find what, you can search for just about anything on that page, and it will pull up articles, it will pull up case studies, it will pull up research, or ask an expert and contact us. So that's at a high level what you can find in roadresource.org, and we wanted to give you a framework for how to begin exploring it. And now what we'll do is take you through the site by way of the questions the site was intended to answer. So question number 1. We heard agencies saying, which treatment is best for my road at a basic level? We all know we're aiming for the right treatment on the right road at the right time, applied in the right way. So there's a couple types of tools that will help you with this. The first is decision-making tools. that help you understand which treatment is going to be most relevant to your network, or to that particular road, And then second, tools that help you compare costs and environmental impact so you can really weigh the difference in various treatment options. So first we'll start with the decision-making tools. And we're going to give you some homework as we go. Right now, we'd ask you to just kind of think about your own roads, your own network, or your own pavement as we go through this. So what I'd like you to do as we introduce these first set of decision-making tools is to pick a road in your network that needs some help and think about possible solutions for that road using the tools in Roadresource. So we'll take you to the tools that help you figure out which treatment is best for my road. And there's two types of tools here. The first tool is a pavement criteria tool. And this tool allows you to input criteria that's relevant to your road. And as you'll see as Grace is entering criteria around a road here, you'll notice that treatments that are no longer options for the parameters that she is inputting gray out, and she's left with options in black that are potential solutions. As she hovers over each solution, you get a visual cue of what parts of pavement might be addressed by that treatment. And so you'll notice that based on Grace's inputs here, she has 3 potential solutions. So as you click on one of those solutions below, you get a high-level description of what this treatment does and some of the benefits, the cost benefits, the environmental benefits, the time savings, the recycling benefits. If there is a structural contribution to this treatment, you'll see that there as well. And then there's a link to the Treatment Resource Center where you can explore the technical resources there. We'll show you that in a little bit. And then if you wanted to compare the difference in CIR to Cold Central Plant Recycling, you would then click on Cold Central Plant and find very similar information. So the idea here is that, and the challenge to you is when you get back to your desktop today or when you're not busy listening to us, to consider a road that you think may be a candidate for one of these solutions, plug it in, and then explore the different treatments that it suggests. So this is tool number 1. When we presented this in beta tests to agencies, they said, that's great information and we appreciate it, but oftentimes I just want someone to look at my road, or I want to see like a picture of my road and then explore which treatments might be a good fit. So there's a tool up here that says pavement photos. You click on this tool, you will see pictures of pavement organized from least distressed to most distressed. You can either input a distress at the top or scroll down and hover over these different pictures. We've got an estimate of what that pavement condition might be. And then once you see a road that either looks like your road or a picture of distress, a particular distress that you may be trying to address, you click on it. It will give you a couple possible solutions, show you the primary distress that you're looking at, and then any secondary distresses that are visible in that photo. So that's which treatment is best for my road. Once you have selected a treatment that you want to try, or a couple of possible treatment options, we're going to take you to the tools that have been built to help you compare some of these more progressive preservation recycling options with conventional treatments to identify the places where these treatments may help you allocate your resources more efficiently and keep your roads lasting longer. So I'll ask you, when you get back to your desktops or on your own time, after you've picked a couple of treatments, consider comparing some of those treatments with conventional approaches and exploring how those treatments stack up. So we'll take you to the tools that have been built to help you do that. And I say this with one caveat, and that is this. the goal of this site was not to, in every case, get every user using preservation or recycling treatments. It's to help agencies do what's absolutely best for that road at that time, and where preservation or recycling treatments can help your road last longer or repair existing distresses more efficiently. It's to help you think about how to allocate taxpayer dollars more efficiently. So as you go to compare these tools, the first thing I want to show you is a place where you can make them relevant to you. We have used averaged cost data and environmental data and structural numbers that come from authoritative sources or average information. But what we know is that every agency in every part of the country is going to have different information that is relevant to them. And so all of these tools will be most useful to you if you put in the data that's relevant to you. So here's where you do that. Grace is on the homepage of the website right now, and in the top right you see a login. So here you just quickly put in your email, your password, and once you've built a login, you'll be able to go to your account, sign in, and store your data and preferences. You can specify if you're in the US or Canada, and if you use US standard or metric measurements. And then down below you'll see every treatment that we've built into this site, and you'll see a unit cost. We've started again with nationally averaged data. You'll see a life extension, and we'll show you in a little bit where that information comes from. And if that treatment has a structural coefficient, you will see a structural coefficient that we use here. If you have different cost, life extension, or structural data that you use in your specs or that is relevant to your area, you can go through and change the information at each treatment. And once you save it, it will automatically repopulate every tool on the site with your data and allow you to make more relevant comparisons. As long as you're logged in, that data will save and will always be available to you. And your data is not saved in any of PPRA's databases, and no one ever sees the data that you put in except for you and anyone that you choose to share it with. So that's an important thing to know, and again, what we suggest you do after today is go in and create an account. So I'll take you through some of the comparison tools on the site, and we'll start with, under the network optimization section, we'll start with the equivalent annualized cost. This is a very basic building block that allows you to see, compare the cost of each treatment in a more apples-to-apples comparison by dividing the cost of that treatment by the life extension that it provides. So you simply go in here and you input different treatments, and it will show you a cost comparison of those treatments. You can see there the cost per square yard and the life extension assigned. And if you've already input your data, your information will pop up here. If you haven't, or you don't want to input your data, you can change it right here in the calculator. You can change the life extension if you assign a different life extension in your planning, or if you see something different in your area. We have been conservative in what we've populated in this calculator. And if you're in Canada, or you use metric measurements, you can change that there on the calculator, and that will change then on every calculator in the site. So that's equivalent annualized cost. From there, we'll compare the cost and environmental impact of two different treatments on a given section of pavement. So on the sustainability calculator here, you'll select a conventional treatment, and you'll select a preservation or recycling treatment. Automatically, again, the cost and life extension will pull up, which you can change, or your stored data will pre-populate. And then you put the square yards of that treatment, and down below, you'll see the cost savings of a preservation or recycling approach where there is one, and you'll see environmental savings. Again, if you want to learn more about that, that's all been pulled from technical research around environmental savings. Again, it's average data. But what we did was make it a little more relevant. We heard from users that greenhouse gas emissions, that savings is great, but what does it mean? So from the EPA, we have the conversion of that greenhouse gas emission to how many passenger vehicles you're pulling from U.S. roadways for a year. This is actually an interesting tool if you are in a non-attainment area or if you are in an area where the culture values environmental savings or where you want something to share with taxpayers about the benefits of the approach that you are taking to pavement management. The next tool we'll show you is the structural comparison calculator. Because what we know is that in addition to cost savings and environmental impact or environmental savings, recycling offers this added benefit of helping you achieve structural gains with that pavement. So up at the top here, you'll see several different scenarios where you can compare cold-in-place recycling versus mill and fill, hot-in-place versus mill and fill, FDR versus reconstruction. And in each of these scenarios, we give you an existing roadway condition, and then we show you, in this example here, you see that this existing piece of pavement has a structural number of 1.6. And then we show you two different ways of addressing that pavement and the cost savings inherent in this case by using FDR while achieving a structural number actually higher than what conventional reconstruction was able to give us. As you scroll down, you're able to explore some additional savings. And then there's a calculator tool where you can try it on your own. This is not design. This is not formal pavement design. This is not formal recommendations. It's just designed to give you some tools so you can really play with the possibilities and learn more. It's designed to empower you to learn more and to see how these may benefit your roads. So here, Grace is showing you how you input a conventional option versus a recycling option and can play with what happens at each layer of pavement and how those savings add up over that piece of pavement. Next, we'll take you to ensuring treatment success. Because what we know is the end goal is not to use more preservation and recycling. It is to help you reverse deteriorating trends in your network and to have better roads by successfully applying whatever treatment you use. So the Treatment Resource Center is a really powerful tool, and your homework is to, once you've used some of those comparison tools, select a treatment and learn everything, maybe a new treatment that you haven't tried yet, but have considered trying. And visit the Treatment Resource Center to say, what's everything that I need to know to ensure that this treatment could succeed? What results can I expect? What best practices would help me be successful? So this is the link to the Treatment Resource Center. And you'll see here that we have 18 different treatments in this version of the site. And you'll pick a treatment. We're going to go with microsurfacing for now. So say you are considering microsurfacing for your roadway. You'd start up here with the basic about. You've seen this before on the decision-making tools. And you see some basic savings and understanding of the benefits, the issues it addresses, the attributes of the treatment, and some common combinations. We were inspired by learning from different agencies how they're combining some of these treatments to really, really efficiently extend the life of their pavement. Then you learn a little bit about process and variations. As with most of these treatments, there's multiple ways of, there's multiple variations. And so we've laid those variations out for you in terms of equipment and materials, a little bit more granular information about the process. And then expectations. One thing we know for sure is that when you apply microsurfacing on a road that's got a PCI of 80, you're going to get very different results than if you apply it on a road that has a PCI of 65. And so what we've tried to do is say, okay, what sort of life extension can I expect from this treatment? And what you'll see is in most cases throughout the site where the calculator tools show a life extension, we took the average life extension. So in this case, we would have picked 7. And then what you see below is pictures of what that treatment looks like after it's been down on the road for some time. One thing we heard from agencies was, I don't really want to see a picture of a bad road followed by a good road. What I'm interested in is, what does the road look like after I've laid down micro 3 years in or 4 years in? So we have some of those pictures to help you manage expectations. There's some information around cost. And that's an interesting tool because it helps you consider ways that you can minimize that cost. And then there's some information on history and best practices. Then there's a complete pre-construction section that takes you from site selection and material selection through mixed design and ultimately spec resources. We know that if you're considering trying a new treatment, the first thing you have to do is find a great spec. So we've got some links here and helpful resources that send you to whatever primary spec we recommend. In this case, it's ISSA's A143. Many of you are probably familiar with that. And then you'll notice this little thumbs up here, or rule of thumb. What we've done throughout the entire Treatment Resource Center is organize sort of best practices from industry professionals who specialize in these treatments. It's a way of sort of almost sitting across the table from them and saying, what do I need to know to make sure this treatment succeeds? What are the tips and tricks in laying it? What have you learned over years and years and years of doing this treatment over and over again? And those are all organized for you under that best practices section above. Then we have a construction section where you can explore everything from preparation to weather, equipment, calibration, all the way through application. Then a QA section where we look at, what do you need to know when you're inspecting this treatment? What sort of testing protocol is there? What we heard from agencies was, in many cases, the question, do I need all of these tests? What's sort of bare minimum? What's nice to have? And so we've got some insight for you there under testing protocol. And then troubleshooting. If something's going wrong, what do I need to look out for? And what does it look like if something's going wrong? And what do I need to do to fix it? So that troubleshooting section will add a lot of value to you in really making sure that your entire team knows everything you need to know to be successful. And then these last couple sections here are pretty powerful. The research and performance section. One of the gaps that we identified in our early research was the fact that there's really tremendous research happening all over North America, all over the world really. And agencies are aware that it's happening, but they don't always know what that research is saying, and it's a little overwhelming to know where to go to find the best of. And how do they sort through all the technical papers out there, especially when you guys are not just thinking about one asphalt treatment all day long. We know that agency personnel are stretched thin and have to care about a lot of different things. So we wanted to make it easier for you all to access the best of research and performance information. So here we've organized it. And what you see on that page is a 2-sentence summary of main conclusions. A high-level summary here if you want to kind of see some basics about the research, and then a link to read the full report. But if you go back to that main research section, if you just scroll this page, in about 5 minutes or less, you can get a very basic understanding of really valid best of research. The next thing we heard a lot of was, who else is doing it? If I'm going to try this treatment, I want to know who else is doing it and who's having success and what it took for them to be successful. So we've organized that under success stories. And here you can see several different cases of different agencies in different climates, in different scenarios, high volume, low volume roadways, applying these treatments with success. So if you wanted to learn about the town of Fairfield and how Scott Bartlett used microsurfacing there's actually a really incredible story of how Scott used microsurfacing to seriously reverse his declining network without a really huge budget. And you can kind of see his case study here, and you can see photos of his roadway. And if you want to view or download that or pass around the office, you can do that easily there as a PDF. So that's the Treatment Resource Center, and that section of the site is one of the most valuable comprehensive sections. Next, what we'll take you to is how to plan for 40 years or more and to understand how savings add up over time. So this is some of the deepest value in these treatments is understanding not just how does one treatment save me over another treatment at this moment, but over the life of my road, how do savings add up over time? So this is from the preservation section of the site, and if you go to Why Preservation, you'll see a basic interactive section where we look at the deterioration curve, and we see clearly that there's this point of accelerated deterioration. And if we can get ahead of it by applying a series of preservation treatments, we can achieve 40, 50 years of life or more out of that road, and we are seeing agencies all across the country achieve this. So your homework, and then we'll take you to the tool that lets you do that, is to plan what will it take for you to maintain a road for 40 years or more. Think about the condition your road's in today and what it takes to get that road good again, and then what sort of mixes of fixes will make the best use of your resources. So to do that, we'll take you under Network Optimization. We'll take you to the Life Cycle Cost Calculator. On the About page here, what you'll see is examples of roads that begin at different points of deterioration. Here we're starting with a great road, and this is what you might do if you had the opportunity to start your entire network from scratch. You might preserve this road in this manner for 40 years or more. On the gray line, you'll see what happens in a conventional worst first or mill and fill approach, where we just let that road completely deteriorate, lay a new road, let it deteriorate, lay a new road, and do that over and over again. And we'll compare the cost savings over the life of that road. So you see here the savings really add up over time, and using this optimized strategy, we are saving taxpayers $125 million over the life of that road. And we know that not every road is starting from perfect condition. So as you click through those examples, you can see how the savings are impacted, what it takes to get that road good again and then keep it road, and you see that the savings are still sizable. So if you want to try that on your own, you go to the calculator, and we won't demo this for the sake of time, but here you can input your total paved area. You can play with the interest or inflation rate if you want to. And then you can explore a conventional plan versus an optimized plan. One thing to know is you input the year of that treatment from today, year 7, year 10, not 2019 or 2022. And then you pick a treatment type. It will show you the cost in constant dollars. And then at the bottom, it gives you total savings, or helps you see the total life cycle cost of that treatment. Again, we know this tool is very high level. It's designed to teach a concept and to help you consider what it looks like to apply a different type of thinking that really makes taxpayer resources go further. The next tool that we'll take you to, or the next question that we wanted to answer with this site was, how do I, once I'm comfortable using different treatments, and once I understand the benefits of some of these treatments along with how those savings add up over time, what does it look like to create a network plan that stretches resources further? Most of you are not going to have the money fairy come down from the sky and magically triple your budget so that you can address the deteriorating roads in your network. So what does it look like to do the slow, hard work of incremental change that helps you spend the same amount of money but just spend it differently to reverse a deteriorating trend? So we'll take you to what is the impact on my network and how can I explore some different treatment plans. So your homework is first using the remaining service life calculator that we're about to show you. Input last year's maintenance plan and look at the impact of that treatment plan on your network. And then input next year's treatment plan and see what the impact is. So we'll take you to that tool. So this is remaining service life. And on the About section here, you'll learn a little bit about kind of the basics of this concept. The basic concept, if I have a 500-mile network, I will lose 500 mile years of life annually. Therefore, if I want my network to gain ground and not slowly get further and further deteriorated each year, I must inject 500 mile years of life or more into my network each year. So as you scroll down on this page, you'll be able to see two different approaches. A worst first approach that spends this agency's entire $5 million budget across much fewer roads by addressing the worst roads first, and then an optimized approach that injects much more preservation and spends the same amount of money while actually making 112 mile years of life in network gain versus losing 500 mile years of life under a worst first approach. So what we suggest you do is go to the calculator, enter last year's plan, and then enter what you're considering next year. And this is a tool for you to, I think it's kind of fun, and for you to enter and explore some different treatment plan options. So at the top, you'll enter your network lane miles, your average lane width, your total budget, and then down below, you'll look at your treatment plan and you'll say, okay, I'm going to do this type of treatment. You can again toggle the life extension. You'll enter the lane miles that you intend to address with that particular treatment. You can again adjust the unit cost here. It will automatically multiply out the lane mile years that you're adding, give you the total cost of that treatment. And if you look at the bottom, it will show you how many lane miles you treated, what the total cost was, and in this case, poor Grace has lost 10,000 lane mile years of life to her network. So what we suggest you do is, again, enter last year's plan, enter next year's plan, and see what the impact of that treatment was to your network as a whole. Did you lose life or did you inject life into your network? As a side note, we have seen some agencies shared with us that by playing with these tools, they were able to justify the need for more funding, or at least to explain the constraints of the current level of funding around network impact to decision makers or to those who basically have the money strings, by saying, look, if this is what I have, this is the best way that I can stretch this, and we're still losing life each year. And what we heard is, this is great, and this is a powerful tool, it's a powerful concept, but there are also other factors that influence my treatment plan for the year. It's not just, how do I inject the most life into my network? I can't just do 1,000 miles of fog seal, right? So we've given you one tool to play with that helps you prioritize which projects give me the biggest bang for my buck. Your homework with this tool, it's called the cost-benefit value, is to input the road projects that you'd like to accomplish this year, and then explore how those projects prioritize according to your budget through either a worst first approach or a cost-benefit value approach. So this is, again, On the network section, you go to cost benefit value, and we'll learn a little bit about this. If you're not familiar with this, this is an interesting approach. It's just one tool. Several agencies use it. And what it does is it says, okay, if this is the road I want to address, what's the traffic of that road, knowing that you may need to address higher traffic roadways sooner. We dampen that traffic with the constraint factor because you'll see how that traffic really skews this calculation. And then you'll say, okay, what's the treatment I want to use on that road? What life extension does it give me? What cost is that treatment, the unit cost? And then what is the condition of this road that I'm addressing? So you'll see once you enter all of that information, this tool helps you prioritize a treatment plan. So as you compare, this is a sample plan that addresses 10 segments of road. And it starts here. If I spend all the money, this agency, if I spend all my money across the worst roads in my network, I'm going to spend that money addressing 3 roads. If I reprioritize by CBV, I can spend the same amount of money and address 7 roads in my network. And then there's an opportunity for you to try that yourself. So using the calculator here, you'll put the road name in the from and to segment. You'll enter for that particular segment the pavement condition. If you do not know your pavement condition, or if you don't use PCI, click on this little question mark here. Every tool in the site, if you don't already know or have access to that data, those question marks will tell you what to do. So here you kind of see the pavement rating and what PCI you might consider assigning. Or you can use the photo tool and look at different photos of roads that we've categorized as different PCIs. You'll enter the traffic of the road. Again, if you don't know that, we have AASHTO guidelines here that help you estimate the traffic for that segment. And then the length and width of the road in feet. You'll enter the treatment that you want to do. And then, of course, the life extension and unit cost automatically calculator, you can change them. As you populate this, if you look at the top and you have the network lane miles, the traffic constraint factor, and your total budget, as you populate this tool with different segments of roadway, the budget line will automatically move, and you'll be able to click a worst first prioritization showing you how many roads you get to address with a worst first approach, just again addressing the roads with the lowest PCI versus a cost benefit approach, and what happens if you apply CBD thinking. So those are just a couple tools. If you're on the journey, what we hear from a lot of agencies is, look, I'm on this journey, I want to know more about network management, but I don't know where to start. Here's a couple of tools to help you gain some ground. Again, none of this is designed to be a replacement or a substitute for a pavement management system that is always going to give you the most customized data relevant to your network, but it is designed to give you some building blocks and help you gain ground. Lastly, we'll take you to a few additional resources on the site that are designed to help you think a little, to stay connected to the information that we're putting out and to keep getting the most out of this tool. So again, under resources, you can search for articles and find links to training from EMA, ERA, and ISSA. You can ask an expert, and that question will be funneled to members of EMA, ERA, and ISSA. You can contact us or download awareness tools. There's some PowerPoints there that help you explore, that help you give a presentation similar to what we gave today to your entire department. Or if you're an EMA, ERA, ISSA member and you're sharing this with some of your agency partners or consulting engineers, there's tools there that are designed to help walk you through the different sections of the site and really learn how to get the most out of it. Again, if you haven't done it, we invite you to subscribe to the e-newsletter, Ahead of the Curve, where we put, again, just a heavy emphasis on adding value with every issue, and you get to pick the information that you want to know more about. And then lastly, follow us on social media. If you go to PPRA on Facebook and on LinkedIn, we are actively sharing out tools, information, concepts, examples, samples, scenarios from the information that was used to build the site. And it's a great way to stay connected to the latest thinking. So with that, we have about 10 minutes for questions. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box, and we will take them one at a time.
Hey, Lindsay, we do have a number of questions already in the chat box. Are you and Grace able to see them?
Yes, I'm scrolling through them right now.
Okay, great.
So there's one question about the life cycle cost calculator. Oh, okay, yeah, let me take you back there, Corinne. We'll go to the life cycle cost calculator really quickly. So Corinne is asking, could you explain a little bit more clearly how to use this tool? Thanks for the question. She was saying this is a really valuable tool, but I'm not 100% sure how to use it. So what you do here, and the trick is, I think the biggest, maybe the most confusing thing is what year you use, and that's the year from today. So today is year 0, right? And then you explore, what am I going to do 1 year in, 15 years in? So here, Grace is showing you, I'm going to do a major mill and fill 12 years in. Then I'm going to do another major mill and fill 20 years in. We know that. And then you can keep adding rows. You can extend this as many years as you want. Then on an optimized plan over here on the right, you input, okay, year 3, I'm going to do a fog seal. And then year 7, I'm going to do a slurry seal. And then as you go, it will automatically add up in constant dollars below. Once you enter your total paved area, you'll be able to see how that adds up over time. And if you get confused with any tool on the site, you can go back up to this section here at the top that says how to use this tool, and there's a step-by-step guide that should make that easier. Next question. Does the model take under consideration constraints on the recommended treatment, such as traffic conditions, environmental factors, adjacent projects? Thanks, Anish, for that question. I think we may have answered that in our ADT demonstration. These are not, none of these tools are going to be perfectly relevant to your precise environment the same way that a pavement management system will be, and they're not designed to replace a pavement management system. But many of the tools allow you to enter information, a little bit of additional information so that you can make it more relevant to you. And then if you're looking at the pavement criteria tool, we're suggesting other factors that you need to consider because we know that it is not, especially in this tool, it's not just those 4 criteria that are going to influence which treatment is best for your road. Okay, Corinne, I think I answered that question. How do we know interest and inflation parameters? Sorry, Amy, thank you. That's back on the life cycle cost calculator, and we have 2 questions around that, Amy and Austin. Thanks for asking that. This is where you talk to somebody in business school. What we've got here, this is pretty standard, so we populated it with it's fairly standard to take a 5% inflation or 2.5% interest. However, if you have somebody who deals with numbers a little bit more, or somebody who's interested in really getting a little more scientific in controlling that inflation rate or that interest rate, we just wanted you to have the flexibility to be able to do that. And the premise here is that when you truly calculate life cycle cost, there are many more considerations to take into account, such as inflation, such as the cost of materials and reduced waste and all of those kinds of things. And this is not a comprehensive soup to nuts life cycle cost wizard machine. It's some basic concepts, and we picked what we think is manageable to illustrate some of these concepts. The current condition for the CBV. Will you go to the CBV calculator, please? So we have a question about what is current condition. And so that is the PCI here. We know that many agencies use different ways of measuring pavement condition. So if you're ever unsure, you click on this question mark and you'll be able to look at whether you use A, excellent, or PCI. We've tried to give you a grid, and again, if you're not sure, you can go to the photo tool. And then we have another question, where can you typically find the ADT for your area? Go ahead and click on this question mark, and again, this is where we've organized some basic recommendations by AASHTO. Jesse's asking, will the PowerPoint be sent by email? And the answer is yes. And the presentation is also recorded. We have a question about what is the cost for this resource tool. This is free, and it's free in the interest of ensuring that every agency has the tools that they need to, again, make network level gains and really reverse the trends of deteriorating networks across North America. We know that that is a problem that's plaguing our nation's infrastructure, and this is the best of learning designed to reverse that. And with the industry, with the members of EMA and ERA and ISSA coming together and saying we have got to make sure that every user out there knows exactly what they need to make sure that those treatments succeed, and that they have the very best chance of success when they're applying these treatments. We demand the highest standards of our members, and want to make sure that agencies have access to that as well. So Roadresource.org was produced by the industry, and it's free to you and everyone else. Is the math on your CBV available? Yes, Mark. You can see on the About page here, you can see exactly what that formula is. And we did talk to a number of different road owners and said, okay, outside of a pavement management system, what are the formulas that you use to prioritize? And this is the one that was most common and the most accessible. Can you customize or modify the deterioration models underpinning the analysis? You can't customize or modify the models except for, let's see, maybe would be a good one to show, remaining service life. The best you can get, Richard, with this tool is changing the life extension. So you're able to, at each treatment, change the life extension, and that will sort of, if you're thinking about remaining service life, or if you were thinking about life cycle cost, you can kind of play with how long you are expecting those treatments to last. And if you're not sure what to expect, on the Treatment Resource Center, under the Expectations tab, you can look at expectations that we commonly find based on how deteriorated that road is. Ed, sorry to jump around so much, but I'm only able to take these questions as they come. Will you please, so again, Grace is showing you the expectations section here. Back to the CBV tool, the traffic constraint factor. This is, I know that probably sounds a little bit funny, but what we have found is if you don't constrain the traffic or the ADT, it will disproportionately influence how the tool prioritizes, or how the formula prioritizes your treatment plan. And so that ADT constraint factor allows you to dampen it. And again, it's just something you need to play with to get comfortable with in that box that Grace just clicked on explains that. Who paid for the expense of developing this tool? Again, it was paid for by EMA and ERA and ISSA because its members are committed to the highest level of quality and to providing technical resources to the industry, and they believed after doing all of this research that it was a tool like this that was needed to put all this information in one place and make sure you have what you need, empower you to be successful in managing your networks. We're asking where the recording will be available. We'll email it out after today. One question, is there any plan to have the different calculators talk to each other when planning from a network standpoint? Specifically, if you fill out a life cycle cost for a roadway, is there any way that that could influence your network planning or budget calculator? I think that that is a fantastic idea, and it's something we really talked a lot about, but really what you're getting into at that point is ultimately a pavement management system. And this isn't designed to replace a pavement management system, but a PMS will certainly do that for you. There may be some place down the line where we're able to make some of these calculators talk to each other. What I would encourage you to do is through the site, submit your suggestions or things that you would like to see. Next year, we will likely be doing a survey to ask you, what are you finding most beneficial? And what could we build that would be even more beneficial? So we'll be sending that survey out through the Roadresource e-newsletter. So we suggest you sign up for that and continue to give us that feedback so the industry can keep evolving this tool. Did you use a pavement preservation and asphalt mixture PCRs to look at your environmental impacts? If you want to click on data methodology under About Us, you can see exactly what tools what reports we pulled this information from. We used several different reports and some very complex spreadsheets. Again, we had to make many assumptions in coming up with sort of an average use case. We know that hauling, we know that different environmental or climate or location constraints will affect this, but you're welcome to explore more about that there. And how do we account for many of the environmental impacts not quantified yet? You can see again exactly here what we've done and what we weren't able to do. Again, knowing it's designed to teach concepts, and it's not precise because there's no way to do that without it being perfectly relevant to your exact area and scenario. Our classes on the tool available. We're going to continue releasing webinars like this one and potentially pulling together some homework. So we're very, very interested to hear what you most want to learn and how we can add value to you. So you can submit that through the site under Contact Us. And we're eager to learn what type of classes that you would find most beneficial. Corinne, you're welcome. Is there any coverage of concrete? Not at this time. There's a few of these tools that can be used on concrete, but this is not, we're not specifically addressing concrete at this time. Aruna, thank you very much. We think it's pretty awesome too. I'll tell you, as builders of this site at Vario, we have worked with a number of associations, and this is the most comprehensive initiative that I've ever seen, where these several associations said, we are going to interview and listen and ask what our customers, what agencies need and want. We're going to find the missing pieces and we're going to build it. It's been a tremendous amount of work by volunteers. And so really the thanks goes to EMA, ERA, and ISSA members who pulled this off. How do you determine the ADT constraint? Again, on the CBV tool, we recommend using a 7 to start and then just play with it. Once you input your data, play with different constraint factors and just hit recalculate and you'll see the impact there and something will kind of look about right to you. Mark, thank you. Truly a huge leap forward. We agree, and we're really proud to be a part of this tremendous project. So I think we got to all of the questions and appreciate everyone's time and attention. We had, I think, record attendance this morning. So again, we encourage you to visit roadresource.org and keep getting the most out of this tool and continue sharing with us what you would like to see in this tool.
Well, thank you, Lindsay and Grace, for your time and providing us with the expertise on roadresource.org today. As Lindsay already mentioned, we are recording this webinar. It will be available on the EMA, ERA, and ISSA websites, as well as emailed out directly to participants in this call today. Thank you.